If you had asked me last year what my favorite part of the course was, I would have said the section from Forest Hill down to the river, because in '05 I ran that section pretty well. Last year you spend most of the day looking forward to getting to Forest Hill, because that's where you can get a pacer, and it's a kind of a big party, and you look forward to that. And I got to Forest Hill, picked up Susie Lister, my pacer, and started heading down the hill. This was in '06, and it was just stifling heat down in the, as we got down into the canyon, even though we were in the shade. And so that was pretty tough. Last year, I'd say my favorite part of the course was, climbing out a squaw when I felt good. After that, especially after it heated up in the day, it was just painful and difficult. I think most people would say the canyons are the toughest part of the course. I just find the last 20 miles to be very grueling. And even though it's relatively flat, it's just, no matter how hard you've run throughout the day, it's going to be tough. And I have found I've just really been uncomfortable for that last 20 miles both years. The last 20 miles for me are a battle within my own mind. And last year I did something that actually worked pretty well, which is I left my pacer, who was Susie Lister, at the Green Gate, and we had planned this, and I put on music and ran alone for 13 miles to Highway 49. And I cranked it up loud, and it was fast, and it was and I hadn't been listening to music all day long. So it was the first time I had music during the day, and it was exactly the shot in the arm that I needed at that point. So I actually ran, my splits over that section were pretty good, and of course I was chasing Brian Morrison as well. But I think that I'm going to do that again this year, because it was very effective and very motivational for me. I absolutely gear my year toward Western States. It is the center of my calendar for 2007, and everything that I've done up until now in terms of the training and the race schedule has been targeted toward Western States. So, and I have a couple of things planned in the second half of the year, but really last year I took most of the second half of the year off. I'll probably do that this year too. I do Ironman Canada in August, but other than that, I kind of relax in the second half of the year and recharge and put a little capital into the relationship bank at home. So, but yeah, absolutely, I focus my attention and training on Western States. I don't have a lot of desire to do other hundreds. I've gotten lucky on the lottery 2 years in a row at Western States, and now I'm in a position where if I can be in the top 10 for a couple years in a row here, I can continue to do Western States, hopefully. So I would like to continue to do it. If I were to get to a year where I didn't get into Western States, either by being in the top 10 or getting in on the lottery, then I might consider doing something else, and probably Leadville holds more attraction than anything else. But there, the Western States course is ideal from my standpoint. It's a relatively runnable course. A lot of the other courses are more technical, more rocky, more steep, and that's not the kind of running I really enjoy. So I think Leadville is probably more along the lines of Western States, but a lot of the other hundreds are not. So if I were to do another 100, I would be pretty selective. Nutrition is obviously critical. I mean, there's really three things you have to pay attention to: calories, water, and salt. And so I try to get in as many calories in the form of solid food early in the day. Later in the day, I generally can't take in solid food, so it's a lot of goo and Perpetuum in the bottle. So early in the day, it's brownies and cookies and watermelon, whatever else I can stomach. I haven't had a lot of stomach problems in any of my races so far. So I tend to be okay with solid foods early, but at a certain point I just can't stomach the thought of trying to eat something solid probably after the second half of the race anyway. So, but I think probably the one thing that's easiest to screw up is the salt, and because you don't know that you're low on salt until it's kind of too late. So that's the thing that I do spend a lot of time thinking about and ensuring that I'm caught up on my salts throughout the race. Last year and the year before, I didn't really watch what I ate at all. I pretty much, was a human garbage can. This year, I'm a human garbage can until about 5 p.m. and then I slow down or cut off the calories, try to eat an early dinner and then be done. And I'm actually about 5 pounds lighter than I was last year and the year before. And so I'm not starving myself, but I'm definitely a bit leaner than I was last year, and I'm interested to see if that translates to performance. Certainly, for hill climbing, I'm hopeful that it will help. I don't think there are any real favorites this year. There are a good number of contenders, but I don't think there's anybody that you would pick as an obvious favorite. The names that come to mind are Lon Freeman, just set a new course record at the Miwok 100K a few weeks ago and beat Carl Anderson's record, which was considered a very firm record, by 13 minutes. There's this Korean guy, I forget his name, but he was very, very fast at Massanutten last year and set a course record, beat Carl Meltzer. So I think people will have their eyes on him. Andy Jones-Wilkins, I would never discount. He got second 2 years ago, got injured before last year's race, but I know he's been training well. So he's certainly a contender. Eric Skaden got second last year, and he's been training, like a fiend, I think, this year, and really wants to come in and win the race. And he wasn't too far away from doing that last year. So, Tom Nielsen is another guy. He's a little bit older, but I think he's gotten second, third, and fourth. He was fourth last year and has won Angeles Crest a number of times. So there's a good number of guys, and of course Brian Morrison, of course, obviously. So but none of them, I don't think, including myself, you would look at and say is a clear favorite. I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm putting the time, and I wish the race was tomorrow, really. I wish we could just get it going. The taper is the hardest part in some respects. It's hard to scale back your activity when you've been doing as much as we've all been doing for as long as we have been. So if they announced tonight that the race was tomorrow, I'd be up there.